Hello and welcome back. I hope the title caught your attention this when you saw it on the Facebook. Today I was really wanting to talk about the kingdom of darkness and light because we live in a time in the world right now and have been for quite some time that there is such a dividing line between right and wrong, call it right or wrong, dark or light, godly or ungodly, evil from versus God. There's so many ways we can translate it or say how we want to say it. But the bottom line is there's two kingdoms that we live in. It's either the kingdom of light or it's the kingdom of darkness. Both have traits and both have a long list or a short list of what it entails. And I just thought today would be a good opportunity to talk about that. And I think I started thinking about this a lot because of all this AI talk I'm listening to lately and reading about it. It's kind of beyond me, to be quite honest with you. I know it's artificial intelligence, but the end game, I don't quite understand. It's like to eliminate humans. I believe in my heart. That's what I'm thinking it is. Had a long conversation with a neighbor last night about this anyway. So, anyway, it's getting off track here, but I would like us to talk about living in such a time that is our values, our beliefs, the lines between right and wrong have been so skewed over the years that many of us don't even have the energy or the desire to engage in the battle that has overtaken the world. It's actually becoming a fight just to live your life anymore because we are so bombarded with negativity, or else we get good information and then you've got somebody immediately to hear something good steal it from you, trying to say that it's corrupt and it's this that. And I mean, there's just no peace anymore. I think that's the word I'm trying to work for peace. What is peace? I don't think any of us know what peace is anymore. I mean, it's something that we don't even talk about. We live in total chaos. We don't even talk about that. We just chalk it up. This is life. This is how it is now in 2025. No, it shouldn't be like this. And we're being robbed. I look around when I'm out shopping or if I'm just out eating or anything. People don't really look happy anymore. I mean, you might see it on Facebook with the snippet or Instagram when someone takes a picture of everybody smiling. But the bottom line is really look in reality of the world. Look sometime at how many people are smiling or how many people even look happy. We just are rushing here and there, and no one really takes time to enjoy much of anything anymore. I don't even know why people are working so hard to achieve things because it's like it's an elusive dream anymore. So, anyway, I wanted to talk about this. It's a battle that's been being fought since the beginning of time, and it's reached a point now that our world is full of conflict and rage. People are so distant, people don't even know each other anymore. And what little you do know of somebody is very shallow. People don't want to take time to really get to know you. You don't want to take time to have people over your house and have dinner. A lot of people don't even like cooking anymore. The things that bring people together, it's just like a quick, well, I'll meet you here, we'll have a coffee, and we're off and running. There's no real communion or community with a people in a neighborhood. I've lived in a new neighborhood now 3 years, and it's like when I drive home after a day of doing whatever I'm doing, I don't see people on my street. Very seldom do I see people outside. Everybody pulls into their garage, they open the garage, pull in, and you don't see them for the rest of the day or the rest of the night. Even children, I don't see children out playing. I guess they're on the computers. I don't know. It's the world's different than it was when I was being raised. But I don't think it's a better world because of it. And I think a lot of it has to do with this that we're talking about here today, isolation and people not coming together anymore. I hope that this can make our awareness of the two kingdoms and being aware of them is important, because when you know that you're living in a time that there's right and wrong or light and dark, you can see through some of the chaos or the things that are being said, and you can kind of start thinking like, yeah, this isn't really making sense to me anymore. This isn't really how it is. The average person does not think like this. But if you listen to the media, and you will believe that 95% of the people believe what the media is saying to us, and they really don't. They really, really don't. But we're not hearing the voices of the people that don't really feel like that. We're only listening to the ones that constantly are in our face on TV or radio or wherever else. Can our awareness of the two kingdoms change anything? No, but it can surely change the way that we live in the world that we're in. And so this world is so gung-ho on destroying anything that is good, loved, a desire, having a hope for something to move forward on. It's just like, well, why do that? This is going to happen next time. AI's coming, we're not even going to have a job. I talked to a gentleman last night. He works in it. He works in the computer business, and his job, he said, is eliminating himself from a job because it's all going to go to AI and what he's doing. Within, he said, by 2030, that's 5 years from now, if not sooner. Now, can you imagine the thoughts of having a job knowing that you're programming and you're making the program that's going to take you out of a job? That's a big high-tech business that he's in. How many people are going to lose their jobs on that one? I mean, it's amazing that people don't start thinking about this stuff. When I read about all these huge buildings they're building for AI to house, it's just, I'm getting off track, but it's amazing. And that's kind of what brought me to do this here today, so people can start realizing what is the end game. You know, we're so brainwashed in believing what's next. We don't think about what's the end game of it all. But in Jesus said in John 8:12, I am the light of the world, and he who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. And in John 12:46, he says, I have come as a light into the world, that whoever believes in me should not walk in darkness. So Jesus himself was the one that started revealing the light and darkness of the world, because in the Garden of Eden, Satan took over the world, so we walk in darkness. He won this world as to the part of controlling how we live. You know, he won in the Garden of Eden, but he didn't win the battle. God is still in control of everything. Satan is in control of this world and the way that we operate in it. God, that's why we can meet Jesus and ask him into our heart, and we have God living in us, and then we become the light of the world or the salt of the world, or so that people can see the lightness out of the darkness. And in 1 John 1:19, we know that we are of God, and the whole world lies under the power of the evil one. Now that's in 1 John 1:19. We know that we are of God. If you've asked Christ into your life, you know you're of God. But the whole world lies under the power of the evil one. And Ephesians 6:11 through 12. Put on the full armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, which is, we don't wrestle against each other, but we're fighting against the principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, and against the spiritual host of wickedness in the heavenly places. And I know that's kind of confusing when I say we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but flesh and blood is a human being, and we are all human. The Holy Spirit comes into us, then we become Christ-like, and we have the light of Christ in us. If we do not ask Christ into our life, we are born with the sin nature, and we are not under the light of Christ. We're just born with that natural sin. That's why everybody has, in the Catholic religion, everybody get baptized when they're first 2 or 3 days old to get rid of that sin debt. And that's why Jesus died, was to get rid of that sin debt that we owe. But until we accept Christ, we are walking in darkness. And Satan uses people just like God uses people. Like God's using me to talk to you. Satan uses people when they're not a Christian or they do not believe in Christ to do his deeds, just like Jesus is using other people to do his deeds. It's a little confusing, but it's showing you that the battle isn't against people. It's against the spirits within us. That's where the battle is. The battle, Jesus uses people, Satan uses people. That's why we see good people, we see bad people. We know when we see somebody murdering and stealing and lying, we know that's not right. But when we see someone that's living normal and they pay for their things and they do everything that they're supposed to be doing, we see that as light. That's they're doing the right thing, and then you've got people that do the wrong thing. So you can see the dividing line between good and bad. We all can see it. We may not want to acknowledge it because we don't want to delve into think about where is that going to lead me down. Because at that point in time, when you start to look at things like that, you have to make a choice. Who am I? Am I walking down the one path here, or am I walking down the other path? You know within your heart and yourself how you're walking. And are you happy with yourself? Some are, some aren't. But if you're not, what can you do to change it? And you need new information to start processing to help you make that choice of what you want to do and how you want to do it. Jesus came to release us from the bondages of Satan. You may be saying, well, what kind of bondages are you talking about? In the Bible, I know this is kind of more Christian language and all, but in the Bible, it's called the works of the flesh. Before you become a Christian, we all have, we are dead to spiritual things. We lost that in the Garden of Eden. When God told Adam and Eve, do not eat of the tree of life, or the tree of good and evil, as soon as they ate of the tree of good and evil, they knew right from wrong. And they were banished from the garden, and they had to leave, and they sinned, and man did die. He said, you will surely die. They didn't die physically, but spiritually they died. And that's why they hid. And God was walking through the garden saying, hey, Adam, where are you? He knew where Adam was, but he was asking Adam for Adam to have to acknowledge the fact that we ate of that tree of good and evil that you told us not to, and they were hiding. So at that point in time, God got an animal, killed it, shed the blood of it, covered their naked bodies because they said they were naked. And Jesus and God said, who told you were naked? They automatically knew they were naked. Up to that time, they didn't know that. So God had to atone for their sin, which was a blood sacrifice with the animal there. And then Jesus, many 2,000 some years later, he became the sacrificial lamb that shed his blood to deliver us all from the sin nature that we were born with. We had nothing to do with it. We are from the beginning of time, Adam and Eve. We are born with a sin nature. And if you don't believe that, just watch a little child when they first learning how to walk and talk and have their own things. You want to take something big, mine. Or you want to see, they want everything for themselves, self-gratification. Children, when the baby children, they're selfish because the whole world, up until the time when they start getting a little older, it revolves around them. They have to eat, they have to go to the restroom. Whatever they do, you're there to change your diapers, you're feeding them, you're holding them. When they cry, you pick them up. Then you got to start training them that, the world does not revolve around you, honey. When it's time to eat, we're going to eat lunch, and I don't want you eating any snacks between this time and that time because we're going to have dinner in a couple hours. And then you're here in the kitchen going, and you go, are you eating the cookies? Oh, no, I'm not eating the cookies. And then you go in the kitchen, and they've got chewing on a cookie, and the cookie's there, and the crumbs are everywhere because they're too young to know they know not to tell the truth because that just comes naturally. As soon as, to me, at age of accountability, as soon as a child starts lying, they know the difference. Because if they don't know right and wrong, then they wouldn't be lying because that's the only reason people lie. They're trying to cover up the truth. And that goes all the way from birth until now. As old, I'm 73. When I lie, I'm trying to cover up something I did or something I wanted to deny. So sin has not changed. You want to see determination and perseverance? Watch a little baby trying to learn how to walk. He will fall, he'll hurt himself, he'll climb, he will get up and walk for 10 hours trying to walk before he takes a step. He does not give up. And as we get older, we start doing things, and if we try it once and fail, then we'll try it maybe a second time and we fail. By the third time, we say, I'm not going to do that anymore. Because we give up. Because we start living off of the past things, and why bother? It's not going to work. Think of Thomas Jefferson. I've said this before in a study. 10,000 times he tried to make a light bulb. What if he would have gave up? We wouldn't. Who knows if we would have a light bulb? Well, I'm sure by now we would, but who knows? He revolutionized the entire world, but it took 10,000 times. And when someone says, why do you keep trying? He goes, because every time I do it, I find a way it's not going to work. So he finds a new way of doing it. And that's what we need to do. But we have been programmed, and our society as a whole, just, if you don't, it doesn't happen immediately, just stop, start, do something else. And that's why we're not moving forward and stuff. And then we get AI, which is trying to eliminate people, and everybody's gung ho for that. We can't even have a conversation with people. I've read an article about people in, I believe it was Japan or China, I'm not sure which one. They actually are marrying robots. They have a wedding ceremony. Look it up. They are marrying robots, and they fall in love with a robot, not another human being. I was amazed when I read that a few months ago. Amazed that this is where our world is going. I mean, it's beyond me. It truly is beyond. I know I'm old, but this is beyond me. But anyway, we get back to what bondages were. Bondage is anything that causes you to feel a need with something that will cause you to fall or end up harming you more than you would have ever expected. It's like when you're in pain or you're lonely, whatever, you start drinking or you'll take a drug. The end result of that never ends on a good note. Let's look at the list of bondages that the Bible lists. It's in Galatians 5:19 through 21. And they're full of loss and pain and destruction. The works of the flesh are evident, which are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of anger, selfish ambition, dissensions, heresies, envy, murder, drunkenness, and the like. I mean, that's just a few. The list could have went on and on, but that's just a few of the works of the flesh. And God has so much more to offer us that will not end with loss and pain, but healing and comfort. The list is so short, but it's full of positive returns if we would follow Jesus's light and not follow the world's darkness. And in Galatians 22, the next verse down, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I truly believe that self-control is the last one listed because it is the hardest one to attain. It is so hard to have self-control to not do something that you so want to do and you're so used to doing. But the benefits and the blessings that you receive when you learn how to control your own desires and your thoughts and your words, oh my, it makes you so powerful. We can see that the contrast between the two is like day and night, light and dark. Yet we live and walk every waking hour in those two kingdoms. How can anyone feel comfort and peace and make a life that they have imagined it to be? And first and foremost, you have to have the knowledge and the reality that you are living in two different kingdoms. We don't see it. It's not visually seen. We only can see the effects of those two spiritual realms. There's either God's spirit or there's the enemy's spirit. And those are the only two that are operating in our world today. And we need to be aware of that. Secondly, once you're aware of it, you need to stop and think about which kingdom are you living in and which kingdom do you want to be living in. It's a choice. And it's a choice that will alter your entire life. And the path will lead you to your own destination. And in Luke 14, Jesus addresses this issue. Luke 14, 28 and 29. For which of you intending to build a house, or they say tower, but a house, does not sit down first to count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest after he has laid the foundation and he's not able to finish it, all the people who saw him start will start to begin to mock him. You know, how many people, anybody can start a race, anybody can start anything. but how many complete it? That's the key. When you start something, you need to complete it. And a lot of us don't even have the vague idea of how to start something, let alone complete it. Because we need to sit down and take time, which is something nobody wants to waste time or on something superficial as to what do I want to do. Something that is so important to our lives. We need to sit down and figure out, where am I at in my life? Where do I want to be in my life? And how and what do I need to do this? And what's the cost going to be? Because there's going to be a cost. If you're used to lying and stealing and doing all those things and you want to walk in a different way, you're going to have to stop doing those things. So the cost is you're going to have to change your life around. So there is a cost, and are you willing to do that to get to where you would like to be? And it's a big question, and it's the choice that's going to be a major change in your life one way or the other. One may seem easier than the other, but the hardest one is the one that will be the greatest victory. The one that's the hardest one for you to do when you want to walk and fight and walk out of the darkness, it's going to be hard to do, but there's a great victory after it. It will be the one that goes against your human nature, the one that doesn't promote, get it now. Everyone else is doing it. You deserve it. Why postpone your desire? We have to remember that Satan's works are always a quick fix. He lies and he deceives. The Lord is truthful. His works are usually a little bit slower, but he's steady in getting us to where we want to be. You hear the story, the saying, slow but steady? That's how Jesus is. And I heard a pastor say we live in a microwave world, but God is a crock pot cook. You know, it takes time. Everything takes time. Anything worth having or doing, it takes time. Nothing is instantaneous. When it is, you got to sit back and look, oh, why is this so easy? Because life and change is not easy. Something our world is dead set against is something is slow. Waiting isn't even on our radar anymore. We have been so programmed over the years and daily with ads, billboards, and now even we don't have that now we don't even have that now. If you don't have money to buy something, we just pull out a credit card. If you don't have money to buy that ring or a pair of jeans or whatever you want, a car, you just put it on credit. Not thinking that 30 days later, you're going to be hit with the bill and the reality of what you bought because it was so easy to get it because you have a credit card. Nobody holds cash in their hands anymore. If you got paid and you got $800 a week and you had to put $300 a week away for rent, $200 a week for food, there's $500 a day, and that means you only got $300 left. But when you tangibly are holding $300 and you know that's all you've got left for a week, and you got to go buy gas, you got to buy this, and that, and you start spending that money, and then at the end of, like, let's say on Wednesday, you've only got $50 left, you say, oh boy, what am I going to do? You're very aware of where you are financially. But in our world today, with the deception and the lies and the comfort of why wait, put it in, why the national debt of the average person, I believe, I might be mistaken, but I believe I read, it was $20,000 to $25,000. Each individual person's in debt. And if you lost your job or God forbid something happens to you with your health, what happens? I mean, we seeing the effects of that. How many people, when they don't have it, there's so much that people don't want to deal with. Yeah, is it harsh reality? You bet it is. But it's a reality that we all need to talk about and we need to face. Because where we're going in the future, this is going to look like kindergarten. And that's why the battle is so strong right now, because no one wants to face reality and figure out, what can we do to change this? You know, I look at just in politics, we have people that are wanting to change the debt, so many things, and people are so against it. Like, it's a bad thing to want to be out of debt. I mean, do you know the freedom that comes when you're not in debt? When you don't have to worry about getting paid and spending every penny on bills? And you can actually have $500 or $600, $700 extra for spending, or savings, and when you want to go do something, people have not ever gotten on the other side of the exponential curve to even realize what they're missing. And it's something that needs to be talked about. I feel so adamant about that. That's why I'm doing what I do here with these lessons, to just open people's eyes to be aware of the deception that we live in the lies. And really, if you're not happy, if you think I'm crazy, turn it off. Don't even listen to me. But if you're looking at a part of your life and what I'm saying resonates in your heart or your mind, saying, boy, these are things I don't really want, but you think about them, really, that's the Holy Spirit calling you to start to open your eyes and change and help yourself, because life can really be fun and not so isolated and alone. How many people in our world today, and I'm one of them, alone. I've been married quite a few times, and I have acquaintances. They're not friends, they're acquaintances anymore. People aren't friends. I moved to a new state. I know a few people, but a friend, really, how many people have a real friend, a true friend that's around for everything? Not very many. Most people take off when something's bad for you. They're gone. They don't want to deal with it. We live in a society that is full of loneliness. We're out shopping, we do things, we go to eat, we have lunch, we're with our friends, we work, and then we get in our car, we drive home to an empty house. How many tears are shed behind closed doors or in bed when you're sleeping? Millions of people, and COVID just brought it to the climax of it all. It's after COVID. People need to start realizing, and how are you ever going to not be alone if you don't open up and start talking and be real with people? You have to be vulnerable to live and have a nice life. You have to. You can't go around lying and trying to fake it yourself way through life, because you can't. You have to be vulnerable, and sometimes that you get hurt, you bet you do. But you know what? We've all been hurt. Did it kill you? No. It just made you a little bit wiser on what not to do the next time with people. We learn from our mistakes. We learn, and God's there to heal us and help us to heal from those. And He's the only one that can heal deep wounded hurts. There's even a book out I read, How to Heal Deep Wounds. It's eye-opening how long and how hard it is to heal deep wounds that we just keep pushing down. Anyway, when we look around, there's not too much happiness in the faces of people anymore. So we need to, like when we're standing in line, like in an event or a football game or a baseball game or a concert, people are in their little groups, and a lot of people they're scrolling it, but we should talk to each other. You're all there because of the same. You all obviously like the concert. You all like the football. You all like baseball or basketball, whatever it is, whatever the venue is. You have a commonality right there just because of where you're at. Why not talk to new people? And if you see someone kind of standoffish by themselves, what is it going to hurt to take a moment of your time and walk over and say, hey, how are you doing? Would you like to join us? Or just open up, and you might be surprised. That person could be a multi-millionaire, he could be a homeless person, and help you for something in your life. He might or she might have something that could be so great for you in your life, just because you took a moment to go over and talk to somebody. You don't know. You can't look at somebody and tell if they're sad, lonely, homeless, rich, poor. I know some people that are so wealthy, and you look at them, they look like they work on a farm, and they've got more money than you should shake your stick at. We can't tell by the outward look of somebody, but what we can glean or learn from somebody just by opening up ourselves to them. How much do you have in you that you could help somebody if somebody approached you? And I'll guarantee you would be more than willing to help somebody get through something you've been through. But how are you ever going to be able to help somebody if you never talk to anybody, or you don't want anybody to know? God heals us and gets us ready so that we, like in the Bible it says, He comforts us so that we can comfort other people and help them through a bad time. What a world changer that is. What? Can you imagine if everybody did that within a month, what our world would be like? Oh, Lord, I couldn't even imagine. But anyway, we stand in line and we sit there. We don't acknowledge people standing by us. We would rather stand with our phones scrolling or looking at our screens and not interact with people at all. We just don't even act like they're around us. Sometimes when I'm at the store or at a concert or a football game or whatever, I sit back and I just watch people. And I see these people, they're walking glued to their screen. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, what is so important that they're walking? They could trip over something and really hurt themselves, but they don't, by God's grace. But I'm looking, I go, what could be so important or interesting from their car to getting in line that would create such a level of interest? I mean, I've ran businesses and nothing could intrigue me as much as watching some other stuff. Going from job to job, I did not have to listen to people. I don't want to. I plug out. I would turn it off. I don't want to hear it. You just need some time to yourself. But people are so used to sitting there, and and usually what they're looking at is somebody posted something that they know they live with, or it might be their sister, their mom. They're showing a picture of their dinner or what's on, something so irrelevant to life that they just, or it's a question, or somebody's asking a question they could answer when they get home or when they get to where they're going, instead of not enjoying the time they're out and being around new people and enjoying the fresh air and where they're at. It's amazing. Our phones have actually become our enemy. We think they're friends, but they're enemy because they're keeping us separated from everybody and anything. And we don't have new resources of people. We're just stuck in a where we're at. We're stuck, unwilling to want to open up to meet new people and learn something new. Life is to be lived social, interacting, and engaged, and being helpful and a light to other people and in our society. We are to interact with each other, talk, laugh. Laughing is like medicine. It's good for the soul when we laugh. I don't see very many people laughing anymore. Can't even go to a comedian show anymore because you can't talk about hardly anything. I mean, you do laugh at stuff, but it's nothing like it used to be because everything has to be so politically correct. We're getting away from that a little bit more now, but the bottom line is can't make fun of anybody. Can't, and it's not that you're denigrating somebody, but you make fun of people. We all make fun of people, and it's not that we're trying to hurt them. It's just it's the truth. I mean, there's certain things in life that is just true. And you laugh at it. Like when somebody stubs their toe. Is that a laughing matter? No, but when I see somebody stub their toe and they start jumping around and they're cussing, I laugh because I know what it's like. Or you hit your elbow. I mean, things happen in life, and it's not that you're being mean, it's just a response. And eventually they even laugh because they know, yeah, that was stupid. But anyway. The darkness we live in daily, Satan has invaded our minds and thinking so that our world is full of loneliness, isolation, deception, and our own image. Jesus came to show us how to live a happy, fulfilled life and to make society a better place for everyone. And in John 13:34-35, a new commandment I give you, Jesus was saying, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you may also love one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Now, does that sound like the world we live in? Not really. Jesus gives us peace. Now, here's that word peace again. In John 14:27, he says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. Not as the world gives do I give you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Because Jesus' peace is true peace. You can have the peace of God going through the most horrific situation in your entire life. And I know because I've done it. And it's unbelievable. You don't even know how you can have peace in what you're going through. Have you ever been in a time in your life that you don't even know how you got to where you were in the day when you woke up? How am I going to function today? And yet you get up and you get out in the world and you function and you come home. Yeah, you might break down when you get home. But those 8 hours out in the world, I call putting it on a mask. But God gives us the peace and the ability to do that. And then we can go home and we can cry and we can seek him and ask him. And eventually that pain, the peace will overtake our pain. And only Jesus's life in us can give us that peace. That's like he said, not the peace the world gives. The world peace they gives is drinking to drown our emotions, drugs to just be numb to whatever's going on. That's not real peace. That's going to lead down a road to addiction or whatever it's going to lead to. It's never going to make you whole. So Jesus is trying to tell you, I'm going to give you my peace. And then in John 16:33, these things I have spoken to you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So Jesus is telling you, I'm going to give you my peace. Because in this world, you're going to have problems. Because that's just how it is. Look at what they did to Jesus. They crucified him. They beat him. They crucified him. He didn't do nothing wrong. He healed people. He fed people. He raised people from the dead. He did nothing wrong. But people hated him. And I'm not going to go down that road because I could talk about that today too. But the bottom line is, Jesus is very aware of the world that we live in. And he's offering us peace. And this is something that you need to ponder for yourself. Do you have peace? If you're real honest with yourself, do you go to bed at night in peaceful thoughts and wake up peaceful? Or do you go to bed with a lot of torment, thoughts, wondering how you're going to get through the next day? Or how am I going to, fake my way through this? Or how am I going to deceive this or that? I mean, do you have peace? That's a real question. Because that is the hallmark of being a Christian, is when you have peace. And when you have to make a decision and peace reigns in your heart and mind, then you know that's the right road to go on. If you have chaos and confusion and people are trying to rush you to make a decision, that's not peace. You need to step back from that, because anything that has to be instantaneously done, unless it's somebody's life on the line, that's the enemy trying to make you make a quick snap decision without knowing all the information or thinking it out. With Christ, you always have time to think. And you'll have peace to know when you're making the right decision. In Romans 8:12, Paul outlined to the people a way of life. And in Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God. That's Paul the Apostle, and he went through, you're reading Corinthians, the things that man went through. I'm going to do a study on him shortly. But that's peace that we have of God. It's the two kingdoms here that I've talked about. I hope I didn't confuse you, because I know I got off track a few times, as I usually do. Notes and all. I typed this out with notes. But I hope it opened up your eyes. And if anybody would like to have some answers, questions to ask, or an answer of something that I didn't quite make clear to you, I'm more than hopeful and would love a response if you have a question. And I could get back with you on that, or maybe do a study on it. Who knows? And like most lessons, at the end of the lesson, you will have a list of all these verses that I said. I hope that you have a great day, evening, whatever time you're listening to this. And until we do another lesson in a couple weeks, have a good time and God bless.